With its folk sound and haunting lyrics, Jim Sullivan's 1969 album, UFO, has become a cult classic, with legions of new listeners discovering it every day. Blending cryptic lyrics and religious questioning, many believe his words have deeper and more personal meaning.
Rumors and conspiracy theories abound to what became of the singer after his car and belongings were found abandoned in the New Mexico desert in 1975. Was Sullivan a victim of a nefarious act, or was his strange disappearance connected to something more otherworldly?
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Supernatural Tendencies Podcast, and be sure to stay tuned till the end for this week's Musician Spotlight, featuring the band Witchpit. I'm Alex.
And I'm Christie.
And this is episode 33, The Strange Disappearance of Jim Sullivan.
If you've never heard of singer Jim Sullivan, you're not alone. Having released only 2 albums, fame and fortune seem to always be one step away from the San Diego native. Born to Irish-American parents, the 6'2" high school quarterback developed a love for music after hearing local blues groups perform around the city. He felt his calling, and soon after marrying his wife Barbara, formed a rock band, The Survivors, with sister-in-law Kathy Doran.
After a failed business venture, Sullivan moved his wife and young son to Los Angeles, where Barbara found work at Capitol Records. Embracing the free-flowing lifestyle of the late 60s, Jim spent his days writing songs and performing them among the city's prestigious clubs. One hotspot in particular, Malibu's Raft Club, became a regular venue showcasing his musical talent, and it was here that Sullivan rubbed elbows with many notable Hollywood actors.
Lee Majors, Harry Dean Stanton, and Lee Marvin were all known to have befriended Sullivan, and were enamored with his magnetic personality. Known affectionately as Sully, Jim was soon climbing the social ladder in Tinseltown, and even appeared in bit parts in the 1960s classic Easy Rider with friend Dennis Hopper, and also on the Jose Feliciano Show.
Using financial backing from his famous friends, Sullivan went into the studio along with leading Los Angeles session musicians, keyboard player Don Randy, drummer Earl Palmer, and bass player Jimmy Bond. In a style that blends folk, rock, and country, Sullivan's debut album, 1969's UFO, was initially almost shelved after being turned down by Capitol Records. But the project was saved by Jim's friend Al Dobbs on the smaller record label Monty Records.
With its title song speaking cryptic messages of, quote, glassy eyes, bright lights in the sky, and a man who rose from the dead, one wonders what Sullivan was thinking when he penned the lyrics, or what he was speaking about. Failing to generate much revenue, the album fell into obscurity, even after being re-released by Century City Records in 1970.
His next musical venture was a self-titled album, Jim Sullivan, released in 1972 by Playboy Records, and again saw little interest from the public. By now, Sullivan had developed a dependency on alcohol, and his marriage began to fall apart.
In March of 1975, he made the decision to leave his wife and teenage son in L.A. and try his luck on the Nashville circuit. Former bandmate and sister-in-law Kathy Doran had found success there recently as a singer and songwriter, and Sullivan hoped that the change would be his road to success.
On March 4th, Sullivan bid his family goodbye and set off for Tennessee, taking with him a scarce amount of items. With $120 cash, a box of his 2 albums, and his most prized possession, a 12-string Guild guitar, 35-year-old Sullivan left L.A. in his gray VW Bug, looking forward to a fresh start. But he never made it there.
After being pulled over near Santa Rosa, New Mexico, due to erratic driving, Sullivan was known to have stopped in the nearby town and rented a room at the La Mesa Motel, although he didn't sleep there. He also He was also reported to have visited a local store where he purchased a bottle of vodka. The next day, roughly 26 miles away, Sullivan was seen on a remote ranch owned by the Genetti family. Seeing his VW Bug and being a not commonly traveled road, the owner of the ranch asked Sullivan if he needed a ride into town, to which he answered no.
Later that day, Sullivan's car was found abandoned, and he was reportedly seen last walking away from it into the desert. Inside of the car were clothes, Sullivan's money, ID, and his beloved guitar and box of unsold records. He has not been seen or heard from since.
Now, one could initially chalk Sullivan's disappearance up as just another tragic story of broken dreams. Add in vodka and a remote desert, and it's not hard to imagine what happens next. But this is where we hop into the rabbit hole of theories concerning his strange disappearance, and ponder the possibility that something else might have happened.
Authorities initially investigating the case reported finding no trace of him on the ranch, or even in their search of the New Mexico desert. Subsequent search parties were called in, but all came up empty-handed. Davey Delgado, a retired newspaper reporter for the Communicator in the small town of Santa Rosa, recalled during an interview, quote, "This is a town dependent on tourists, and we're used to strangers. We call them drifters." But Delgado went on to add that due to the fact that folks paid attention to what these traveling people did and watched for any sign that they were criminally inclined, quote, "This isn't a town where you can steal a piece of bubblegum without everyone knowing about it." But yet no one knows what became of Jim Sullivan.
Delgado went on to say, quote, "There was no arroyo left unturned, and no trace of him was ever found." One local disagreed with Delgado's account of how things went down. Donald Senna, whose father worked on a ranch near where Sullivan's abandoned car was found, cited, "I always thought there was something strange about how that went down, and why they didn't investigate it more."
Investigators also spoke with Sullivan's wife, hoping that she could provide some insight as to what may have happened to her husband. She recounted that she had received a phone call from him on March 5th, letting her know that he was all right. She said she had no reason to think that anything was wrong. However, Sullivan's demeanor was a bit odd. When she pushed for details about his cryptic conversation, he replied, "You wouldn't believe it if I told you."
This started to worry her, so she demanded to know what was going on. To which he replied, "Forget it. Just forget I said anything. I'll call you from Nashville." When her husband failed to do so in the following days, she began calling hospitals and the police, leading her to his last known location on the ranch. From there, the trail went cold. Barbara added that as soon as she was told that her husband had left behind his prized guitar, she knew he wasn't coming back. Quote, "No matter what, Jim would never have left his guitar." Two of Sullivan's brothers conducted their own search, along with volunteers, but no trace of him was found.
Shortly after Sullivan's disappearance, a badly decomposed body was found buried in an isolated area about 8 miles west of Las Cruces. The victim was believed to be that of a Caucasian male, about 6'2", weighing roughly around 180 pounds. He appeared to be between 30 and 40 years old, with a tattoo on his right forearm, a mustache, and a small beard, who had been dead between 1 to 4 weeks. An autopsy was performed on the body and determined to not be that of Jim Sullivan.
Reverting back to the mysteriously cryptic lyrics from his album UFO, it's not hard to come to the conclusion that Sullivan felt a connection to extraterrestrials and dimensional energies. Described as being a very soul-filled person, never one to lose his temper or seem at all out of touch with reality, Sullivan's son Chris remembered his father as more of a spiritual person. Quote, "My parents weren't addled by any great intake of drugs, but they were very much of their times, and believed in reincarnation and astrology." And as for his mother's thoughts on what happened, Chris added, she was convinced he was up there in the stars, somewhere, waiting for her.
Jim Sullivan's story, music, and subsequent disappearance has faded in the decades since. But about 10 years ago, a man named Matt Sullivan, no relation, set about to change all of that. After stumbling onto a vinyl rip of UFO, Sullivan knew at once that he wanted to record it. So with the help of his wife, filmmaker Jennifer Moss, music writer Andrea Lyle, and a private detective, he tracked down the key players in Sullivan's life, and uncovered a few details previously unknown in the process.
In 2010, in an attempt to retrace Sullivan's footsteps, he found a gas station worker who had told police that Jim had visited the station asking for directions back to California, which didn't make sense since California is where Sullivan had been traveling from. And another mystery that could not be explained is why he had driven to such a remote area of the desert in the winter instead and then refused the offer of a ride back into town. Sullivan's friends and family ascertained that he in no way seemed suicidal, despite the hardships he faced, and that he may have possibly stumbled onto something or someone that was unforgiving and met his demise.
The reissue of Sullivan's UFO in 2010 outperformed all of his previous record sales combined, and one of its most successful promotions was on the late-night paranormal radio show Coast to Coast AM. Conspiracy theories ran wild as callers shared their view of what happened to Jim Sullivan.
Did he commit suicide or have his life taken by some nefarious murderer? Is it possible he constructed his own disappearance to assume a new identity somewhere else? Or maybe the answer is right in front of our faces, and Jim Sullivan simply returned home by means of glowing lights in the sky.
These are the lyrics to the title song UFO by Jim Sullivan. Shaken like a leaf on the desert heat. His daddy's got a bag that's hard to beat. Bought me a ticket, got a front row seat. I'm checking out the show with a glassy eye. Looking at the sun dancing through the sky. Did he come by UFO? Lot of tricks were pulled in a book I read. Only man I know that got up from the dead. Lot of people living by the words that he said. I'm checking out the show with a glassy eye. Looking at the sun dancing through the sky. Did he come by UFO? Think he'll ever come again in a different way, and maybe he has come and gone while I was away. Too much goodness is a sin today. I'm checking out the show with a glassy eye, looking at the sun dancing through the sky. Did he come by UFO? There is something happening that isn't too clear, just a little different than in previous years. I think that happiness is getting very near. I'm checking out the show with a glassy eye, looking at the sun dancing through the sky. Did he come by UFO? Did he come by UFO? Did he come by UFO? We have the transcription on
Oh, is it showing it on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I wasn't sure if that was just
Yep.
like you had to go live on Facebook without any, without StreamYard or Be Live or Zoom or anything like that. Oh, awesome. How cool is that?
Huh.
How awesome.
Is this the countdown? Oh, here it comes.
You missed the countdown. We're done.
Oh, why is there's a lag. Oh, hey, there we are. I don't know what I'm doing.
It still
with
says
my
your
life.
mic is muted.
Yes, it will, because my mic is going through into your computer.
Oh,
It always says
okay,
that. Yeah.
okay. Oh, I didn't notice
She'll
that.
learn this one day. She'll get it. She'll get it.
Shut up, because you've been messing with me ever since you got here.
I think you deserve it. I mean,
Wow.
The weather is perfect for it. It's fine.
You guys are probably going to hear our windows rattling because we are getting ungodly winds here
Crazy wind today.
in Finley.
Yeah.
So
So if you're in the live,
Wobble,
later
wobble,
on
wobble.
Tuesday's release, you'll probably hear it too. So
we're safe
I'll
for
try
now.
to edit it out, but
If you hear screaming, we're not safe.
no, we're not safe.
So no, I joke. Am I?
No.
Am I?
Anyway,
Okay.
welcome to
Okay.
this week's episode of the Supernatural Tendencies Podcast. Thank you for joining us in the live feed. If you're joining us Tuesday, you missed out. But thank you for joining us whenever you're watching it. What do we have for him today?
We are. I've been talking about this case forever, like literally for months now, because I just love this case. I think it's super cool. So today we're going to discuss the strange disappearance of Jim Sullivan. Dun dun dun! I need to get sounds because
No,
that would have been
we
the
don't.
perfect time for dun dun dun.
Oh my! I just feel the
Hi,
migraine.
Kelly. Kelly says, first time I caught you guys live.
Oh.
Thanks for joining us, honey.
I
We're
don't see
glad to
that.
have you here.
Where do you see her? I don't see her comment.
It should be right there showing up on comments.
Oh, there she is. I see it now. First time. I see it now. Hey, Kelly, how you doing? Thanks for
When
joining us.
you hire help
I have 2 different feeds I have to watch.
and you don't pay said help,
At all. Nothing,
the,
actually.
the quality that you get
That's, of nothing
is,
being paid out?
is minimal.
Yes.
Minimal.
That's how it works.
Well, I paid you in lunch. That was
You
some
did.
that was some damn good tilapia and Brussels
did.
sprouts. I'm just I'm just saying.
Hopping back
Just
and
saying.
forth. Hopping back and forth. Oh, PD.
Hey, Kimbo, thanks for joining us.
Kimbo, I love just seeing you on here.
I know, I do too.
I love your comments and the group. You are an asset.
You are an asset.
While
and
I
we
put
love
the
you.
ass in asset, you are the true asset. So thank you. Anyway, today we're gonna start it off. Jim Sullivan.
Jim Sullivan.
Disappearance of said Jim Sullivan. I'm gonna start out by your introduction here because
What?
you put a picture up.
Don't you do you? Don't worry about what I'm doing over here.
Well, the thing dropped, so it booted my thing out. There he is, beautiful Jim Sullivan. If you're in the live, you can see the picture of Jim Sullivan there.
That's Mr. Jim Sullivan.
Getting all groovy. If you've never heard of the singer Jim Sullivan, you would not be alone. Having released only 2 albums, fame and fortune seem to always be one step away from the San Diego native. Born to Irish-American parents, and the 6'2" high school quarterback developed a love for music after hearing local blues groups perform around the city. He felt his calling soon after marrying his wife, Barbara, formed a rock band, The Survivors, with his sister-in-law, Kathy Doran. So that is your introduction, right? Of
Dun,
sorts?
dun, dun.
That really wasn't the introduction. I actually
Kind
read
of.
the first paragraph
Yeah.
of the... Oh!
Yeah. But that's true. Not too many people. I mean, he wasn't like, super famous during his career, during his singing career, which was in the late 60s when I believe his first album came out.
Sorry. I was still trying to
No,
jump back
don't worry
and forth.
about it. I'll carry the show by myself. It's fine. It's
Trista
totally
says,
fine.
Trista says she's here, but she still can't comment, so it's like throwing back.
Why am I not seeing Trista's comment?
She says she can't comment. There's a throwback to the issue last week where
What
she
the
was
heck?
for some reason having issues. Anyway, we'll get this back on track. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jim Sullivan. Not very known at the time because he only had 2 albums released on. Well, the one was initially started on Capitol Records. And after writing the record and then recording the record for one reason or another, as record companies, record labels are wont to do, issues prohibited that record from releasing. So what they did was they actually had taken the record from the Capitol Records release and released it on what was it called? I had never heard of it before.
Moni?
Moni?
Moni? MONNIE.
Moni Records.
Moni
yeah.
Records.
1960-69. And this is going to be the record that we're mainly going to be speaking about today, which seems to be the mainstay of the conspiratorial nature about this show. Not only the disappearance, and I'm not foreshadowing anything because we know that the disappearance of Jim Sullivan is the name of the show. But to bring in the conspiratorial nature would be the first record that was attempted to be released was actually titled UFO. One of the songs on there was also called UFO after the title name. And they attempted to release it on Capitol Records for one reason or another. And this doesn't seem entirely too conspiratorial, just the way the music world works and worked. They couldn't release it there, so they went to Moni Records in 1969. So he's writing this record and release on Moni Records, and are we gonna read it later like we did?
Yeah, we'll read it.
So the lyrics themselves on the title track UFO kind of allude, and I don't know if I can hop on board with this, but you do hop on board with this type of extraterrestrialness that this kind of alludes to, this song.
I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit here, but his son Chris Sullivan, described his parents saying, they weren't into the typical, drugs of the 60s or anything like that. They didn't partake in any of that, but they were very spiritual people. They believed in reincarnation. They believed in astronomy and otherworldly life. So they were really in tune with that whole way of thinking, very open-minded to all of that.
Yeah, in the heyday of this kind of new active spirituality that was kind of happening in the 60s and 70s. I mean, we really didn't see anything like this before this, we didn't really see anything like it except for maybe the spirituality movement of the late 1800s and early 1900s, correct? With the spiritualist movement and stuff like that. And then I don't want to say we went through like a dead zone or what have you, but not really anything expansive until the 1960s, when we start having the counterculture kind of at the forefront of most people's thoughts, whether or not you agreed with it or not. The ideas were still there and still available, and then that's when you start having these cults. Should we jump out and say cults?
Yeah. Well,
Going through the textbook definition of what a cult is, I mean, in modern day, when you say the word cult, there is a certain derogatory term or derogatory, feel to it.
Yeah.
But in reality, the difference between a cult and a religion is purely numbers. I mean, when you start to get to an established religion is when you start to actually get into numbers that are verifiable, that are taken into consideration via census, maybe tax deductions and stuff like that. But a cult, most generally, is a smaller group of people. Technically, you and I could make a cult with maybe 20 people where we believe that we should never wear the color red. And then that is like the stopping point of our religious beliefs. There doesn't have to be any crazy pantheon of things that we either make up or experience or try to philosophically debate with other religions. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. So you do have this outpouring.
There was a lot of it going on.
Of the time, yeah.
That communal living, a lot of that going on. The whole free love and all of that thing going on.
So you do have a lot more people having differing ideas of the establishment of religions and stuff like that. So this record, in his views of where he came from with his parents, and eventually into what he thought with his wife and his kids, is not particularly crazy at the time. This isn't going to be who was the Applewhite? Wow.
Oh yeah.
From Heaven's
Gate. Yeah. Do you know that's still? I that's funny because I was just watching a show on that like a week ago.
Yeah.
And do you know it's still around?
Is it?
Yeah. Like they have a website. It's still going. There are still members. I didn't know that. I thought.
Yeah.
Marshall Applewhite, I think was his name.
I was thinking Marshall, but then for some reason it didn't feel right.
Yeah. And I thought they all just committed suicide. I mean, I thought that was like all of them.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Yeah, so when we speak of culture, outpouring of spirituality, that's not exactly what we mean, even though sometimes our minds jump to that with certain terminology, such as cults. So with this particular case, especially with this record that was produced and then released. Well, I'm grasping for words today.
What is your deal today?
I'm tired. It's windy outside. I'm just okay. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
He's already cried like 3 times. I could take a nap.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. With this whole pandemic thing going on, all my recycling centers are shut down, and I collect cans and I turn them in just for a little extra money.
This story again.
We sat outside, my wife and I, for she could probably corroborate with me, but 2.5 hours maybe, crushing cans, and it wouldn't be so bad. But like we had so many of these monster cans,
those
and
are to crush.
The Arnold Palmer mixed tea lemonades, I think they were, and these cans won't fit in the can crusher because it's a standard length can crusher. So all the cans that I know I did break the rules, Jennifer, by wearing blue. I wish you wouldn't have brought it up because she yells at me every time I have a possible trademark violation. But here's my Duke shirt. So
wow,
there you go, trademark violation. So we stood out there, and and the standard can crusher, some of these cans won't fit. So I just did them by hand. I could have put them on the ground and stomped on them, but the wind was so bad that every time you do it, you'd whiff it and then just stomp the ground without even getting them. So we did probably 3 of the big bags of cans and then 2 of the normal size bags of cans, with a solid half of them being these ones that wouldn't fit in the actual can crusher. And my hands are absolutely killing me, and my back from bending over, my leg. Oh God, I'm feeling 30 today.
We're no longer the Supernatural Tendencies podcast. We are the Alex Wants to Cry because he did manual labor podcast.
Oh, whatever. I do manual labor every other day.
I do.
Says the person who sits at a computer desk the entirety of her work day. But okay. Moving on. I can't.
I do lots of things around this house. I cook, I clean, I man the farm animal menagerie that we have around here.
You just keep collecting animals and you complain.
No, we have reached our limit. No.
That's what you said.
Don't send me no pictures of no puppies or no kittens. No.
That's what you said after Oscar. And you got Petey.
Petey is a podcast dog.
He is, but Oscar was the last one you said.
Well, this time I mean it.
So moving on, the whole thing with this song UFO is it's been kind of considered speaking in like a cryptic message. Now, I like how you dolled it up here. But you say... Part of the song is, you say, it's cryptic message of being glassy eyes, bright lights in the sky, and a man
That's
who
what the
rose...
song says. I'm not glamming it up. That's what is actually in the song.
No, but you consider it cryptic when you say glassy eyes, bright lights in the sky, and a man who rose
Do you
from the
know
dead.
what he was talking about?
It sounds like a lot of drugs.
But do you know what he's talking about? You don't. Ergo, it's cryptic.
It sounds like a lot of drugs.
Get off my page.
If anybody agrees with me that glassy eyes, lights in the sky, and a man who rose from the dead doesn't sound like an artist's interpretation of drugs, of a 1969 interpretation of drugs,
But he didn't do drugs.
please put it. I don't care. I don't care if he didn't do drugs.
Completely just slam dunked your whole statement there, and you're like, I don't care. I don't care. This is not. No.
Okay, could you write a song about war? Could you?
Yeah.
You could.
Jen says, don't make the psychic
Have you ever
mad.
fought in a war?
No.
But you could still write a song about war.
So he's intentionally not doing drugs, but writing songs about doing drugs.
Yeah, because it was the 60s, man. You could see drugs wherever you went. It would have still affected your life, whether or not you did them. It just affected it in a different way.
Why would he make it a cryptic message, though? Why wouldn't he just
That doesn't
talk
seem
about
very cryptic.
drugs?
That's what I'm saying. That doesn't seem very cryptic. It sounds spot on like a drug reference.
Wow.
I love how she just pushes it off. Like, no,
Wow.
no,
You're
it's
like,
not.
drugs.
It sounds like drugs to me.
It's drugs.
So
That's what it was all about, drugs.
So you say one wonders what Sullivan
But-
was thinking when he penned the lyrics.
Yes.
Or what was he speaking about?
No air of mystery. What was he speaking? You make it sound like it's like Holly Hobby or Strawberry Shortcake. What he was thinking about.
It was drugs.
No, what he was thinking about.
That's how I said it in the narrative.
From now on, if you can't talk like Bill Shatner, you can just leave the podcast area.
I'm not a fan of Bill Shatner.
I love Bill Shatner.
As much as respect, I'll say as much respect, which is
love
not
him.
like as skin deep as it is. I think he needs to go. Like he just.
I
we
should
need-
just cut the podcast right now and go to black and then just leave the sound on so that everybody can hear me pummel you.
We need to get to the point where Bill Shatner is
Bill Shatner, I think you're
remembered,
a god and I love you.
Is remembered.
Okay, I want you to Alex is adopted, truth be told. Okay? And I love you.
Oh man. All right, so moving on here. We're going to move past the main point of the only real extraterrestrialness we have in this show, even though she seems to love this. We'll get to more paranormal-y kind of stuff, but we're going to go ahead and move past the story. I just made it up, and that's the great part about English is you can make anything an adjective or a verb.
That's a new word.
It's fine.
I'm calling Webster's.
His next musical venture would be a self-titled album named Jim Sullivan.
Let me put up a picture here of the albums.
Oh, okay. Released in 1972 by Playboy Records, and again saw little interest at the time.
And that
Get it up there?
that was another thing too. I did not know that Playboy had. Oh, for some reason this isn't going to work. Hold on, let me.
Isn't that UFO right there?
Yeah, but I have to hold on.
She's trying to get the picture up. Pardon us.
I did not know that Playboy had an actual record label. You know, like Playboy, Hugh Hefner. I didn't know that. Did you?
No, I did not.
Yeah, but they did.
Okay, well, she's trying to get the picture up to give you a shower there. This album was released, and again, there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare with it, and probably at some point, maybe due to this, I don't know, maybe not. You never know what people's reasons are for delving into stuff like this. But he developed a bit of a dependency on alcohol, and his marriage began to fall apart. So very unfortunate in that regard. She's still trying to get this picture up.
Did you? Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
Did you go into about about how fame and fortune always just kind of
It was just out
slipped
of
away?
reach.
Even though, I mean, he did have lots of famous actor friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of like what got these first two albums started and going.
They actually financially backed this.
What were some of the names of those guys?
Harry Dean Stanton, which I think he played in, what was that show? Quantum Leap? Isn't that him? Mm-hmm. I want to say I think that's him. I don't know for sure.
Oh. Lee Marvin?
Lee Marvin. Mm-hmm. The Dirty Dozen, Lee Marvin, great actor.
Yep.
Dennis Hopper.
Yep.
Yeah, because he had a bit role in
Easy Rider.
Easy Rider.
Mm-hmm. And they also appeared on the Jose Feliciano show.
Which, that was a big show back then.
Yep,
if you were on the Jose Feliciano show, you were well known.
Yep, so we had some help getting the first two albums out. Unfortunately, like they really didn't catch on, even though a lot of his friends who helped kind of finance it really did believe that he was a good musician and that they would sell, but they kind of didn't sell.
Yeah, they just failed to take off.
Yeah. So in March of 1975, and this is where the thick of it is, March of 1975, he had made the decision to leave his wife and teenage son in L.A. and actually go to the Nashville circuit.
Yeah, yeah.
So he thought he'd be a little more prosperous in the Nashville area as opposed to the L.A. scene. And I was trying to remember right offhand, because he was trying to hit up the same scene in Southern California. I believe it was the Eagles and stuff like that at the time, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about the same genre-ish.
Well, it's kind of like, they describe it as being like a cross between like folk, country, and rock.
And that's exactly how the Eagles were described.
Yeah.
Now, to listen to the song UFO, he throws some like synthy stuff in there, and like there's some weirdness about it that most generally the Eagles didn't really have. They were more straightforward, just like, regular instruments, guitar, drums, vocals, stuff like that. Even though like what they were talking about were kind of weird. But there was this whole big, rise in the folk rock country genre. Right? Who was the other one that was real close with the Eagles? It was a female singer at the time. Shoot.
Oh, it's popping out. Linda Ronstadt?
Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
I was right. Yeah.
Emmylou Harris was popping in. I'm like, no, she's country. Get out.
So now you have this establishment of these bands actually doing this and people digging this stuff. And for some reason, Jim Sullivan was just different enough to where it didn't catch on or whatnot. But he would decide to try to take his chances in Nashville as opposed to there in L.A. So he would get with his former bandmate, sister-in-law Kathy Doran, who had found success in Nashville, and decided to take a trip out there. He would leave on March 4th, bidding his family goodbye, and set off for Tennessee, taking with him a scarce amount of items. $120 cash, a box of his 2 albums, which, when I first read it, I'm like, he had a whole box for just 2 albums? No, he had a bunch of his albums to sell.
Unsold, yeah.
So he had a bunch of his albums, of his 2 albums in this box that he had taken. Most of his most prized possession, a 12-string Guild guitar.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but, even his wife later on said that he never went anywhere without this guitar.
Yeah.
Because no matter where he was, he knew that if he had his guitar, he could make money.
Yeah.
If nothing else,
corner,
you
open
could
up the
stand.
case. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So he never went anywhere without this guitar. Are you for real?
Oh, sorry. I snuck it in there. Anyway, so yeah, he wouldn't leave his guitar anywhere without being there because it's another mode of
Here's
making
a picture
money.
of him along with his wife and his son.
I hadn't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
Good. Left in his gray VW Bug looking for a fresh start, but he would never make it there.
No.
He'd be pulled over in Santa Rosa, New Mexico due to erratic driving. Sullivan was known to have stopped in a nearby town and rented a room at the La Mesa Motel, but he didn't sleep there. He's also reported visited a local store where he purchased a bottle of vodka. So as of now, you all may be thinking that you have this case solved. He disappeared. He went by himself out in the middle of a friggin' desert, and he was last reported seen holding a bottle of vodka. Vodka.
Well, no, he was actually seen the owner of the ranch.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead.
Regardless,
he had a bottle.
Because this is out. People aren't normally come out this way. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then from the ranch, it just goes out into the desert.
Well, I jumped ahead. So the next day, roughly 26 miles away, Sullivan was seen on a remote ranch owned by the Genetti family.
Yeah.
Seeing his VW Bug and being not on a commonly traveled road, the owner of the ranch asked Sullivan if he needed a ride to town, to which he answered no.
No.
So that was the last time he was seen.
Yeah, he was seen walking away from his car out into the desert, and that was it.
Ah, okay. But he had a bottle of vodka with him from the previous day, right? So is there a chance so far in our line of thinking logically that he would be just plastered and walked out in the middle of the desert and got lost and died or disappeared, what have you? So this is just normal thinking. This is what I usually do when you get told a story. Oh, right, that's what happened.
Yeah, because this is the point from where he's never seen or heard from again.
Yeah.
Ever. Gone.
Later that day, Sullivan's car was found abandoned, and he was reportedly last seen walk away from it. Inside of the car were his clothes, his money, his ID, his beloved guitar, and a box of unused or unsold records. And he had not been seen from since.
Yeah. So to be clear, he left everything. His money, his ID, his beloved guitar, everything was left in this car. And he is nowhere to be found.
Yep. Authorities initially investigating the case reported finding no trace of him on the ranch or in their search of the New Mexico desert. So they found nothing on nothing on him from the ranch or in the desert at all. Subsequent search parties were called in, but all came up empty-handed, to which brings in Davey Delgado, who is a retired newspaper reporter for the Communicator in a small town of Santa Rosa, so one could say that he is a local. He would be quoted as saying, "This town is dependent on tourists and used to strangers. We call them drifters." He would go on to say, where was it? Ooh, lost my place in there. Oh my gosh. In fact, folks, pay attention.
Pay attention.
He went on to add that folks paid attention to what these traveling people did and watched for any signs that they were criminally inclined. This is a town where you can steal a piece of bubble gum without everyone knowing about it.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is even though that they've seen their fair share of drifters and tourism is kind of a thing out there, they're still pretty close-knit, and they pay attention, because if not, this is where the money comes from, and if the money goes with them without being paid for, they're not making money on the only thing that really they can make money from.
But they're always on the lookout for shady people, basically.
And nothing seemed out of the ordinary with Sullivan. Nobody was following him that they had seen, that maybe there's like someone murdered him or something. They didn't see anything like that. So that just adds to the oddity of this case, because they do pay attention. They have to pay attention for their own livelihood of being where they are, and they didn't see anything out of the ordinary, other than the fact that Mr. Sullivan denied the ride back to town when it's obvious that he needed one.
Yeah. Or did he?
That's true.
Bum, bum, bum.
That's true. He just walked out there on his own volition. Investigators also spoke to Sullivan's wife, hoping that she could provide some insight as to what may have happened to her husband. She recounted that she had received a phone call from him on March 5th.
Which was the next day.
The next after he had left L.A.
Yeah.
Yep. Saying, letting her know that he was all right. She said she had no reason to think anything was wrong. However, Sullivan's demeanor was a bit odd. When she pushed for details about his cryptic conversation, he replied, "You wouldn't believe it if I told you." So, this started to worry her, so she demanded to know what was going on, to which he replied, "Forget it. Just forget I said anything. I'll call you from Nashville." When her husband failed to do so in the following days, when she began calling hospitals and police.
And officially reported him missing.
Officially reported him missing, and then that led to the investigation on the ranch, which they found nothing, and that was the last place he was seen. And then the trail goes cold. So she would go on again to notice that he had left his prized guitar behind. And the fact that something was amiss in his mannerisms on the phone.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't say what it was. And it wasn't that he denied that something happened. He alluded to something definitely happening, but said that she wouldn't believe him even if he told her.
Yeah. So what was this that she wouldn't believe?
Yeah.
You know.
Now this could be one of a litany of things. Do you have any ideas what he was alluding to?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I know what you're wanting me to say.
What do I want you to say?
That he hooked up with ETs and he went home.
You have one hair.
And I'm
that's
not.
like...
I can't do anything about that. And I'm not going to say that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Do
you have any other ideas?
Well, his wife did say that as soon as the police, the investigators told her, what was left in the car, and she heard that his guitar was there.
Yeah.
She knew that something was wrong, because he would have never left his guitar.
He wasn't coming back.
Yeah, and that's when she said, "I knew he wasn't coming back."
Yeah.
Because he would have never left that guitar. So, and I think it was like a month later, maybe a couple months later, that it was, and I don't have that article, but there was actually a body found, some 26 miles away in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. And so
8 miles. 8 miles.
8 miles. Okay. Yeah. So they found this body, badly decomposed body, out in the desert. And sure enough, they did an autopsy, and they said that it was a male around 30 to 40 years old, 6'2", with a mustache, a beard.
Small beard.
Yeah, small beard, and a tattoo on his arm. So, everybody was like, oh, it's got to be him. Well, they did the autopsy, and they eliminated it was not him. So it's just one, and, I can't help but think, too, that if he just, left the car, screw this, and he's walking out into the desert just to, commit suicide or whatever, there would have been some traces left. They would have found a dead body because that area was completely
like they did here,
scoured. Well, they found this body, but it wasn't him. So there would have been a body. And
so now I want to know. This is 1975. Is that what we said it was?
Yeah.
Around about 1975?
Yeah, 75.
What was the status of forensics in 1975 to be able to find a body that's 6'2", roughly 180 pounds, between the years of 30 to 40 years old, with a tattoo, mustache, and a beard, yet it's not him? Because sorry about the wind. Yet that's almost the exact description of him, yet it's not him.
But, too, remember the time. Beards, mustaches, those were in things. So
true, but he's the same height, same weight.
Yeah, but they eliminated and said that wasn't him. Which, oddly enough, I could not find. I went through like 6 different articles and could not find if Jim Sullivan had a tattoo on his arm.
I'll tell you what's super weird.
Could not find the answer to that.
Is this obvious portal of this magnet of desert that would attract 6'2" men with mustaches and beards. And if you are a part of this description and you're even anywhere near Las Cruces, just don't go there.
Don't.
Because evidently you won't fare well.
If you drive a VW Bug, totally forget about it. But, they even his 2 brothers formed their own search party of volunteers and went, and they scoured the entire area. Mm-hmm. Nothing. Yeah. Nada. Zilch.
Yeah. So we have multiple people, multiple departments, multiple groups of affiliations with Jim Sullivan going out to do their own investigations, and still nothing besides. And I can't stop coming back to it though. There's a random body. How often do you find a random body in the desert to which looks so closely or appears to be so closely to his description and it not be him? You're like, oh well, now we just have another body here.
Yeah.
This just seems weird in itself, but evidently not. Jim Sullivan's story and music and subsequent disappearance have faded in the decades since. But about 10 years ago, a man named Matt Sullivan, who is no relation, don't you worry about that, set about to change it all. After stumbling onto a vinyl rip of UFO, Sullivan knew at once that he wanted to record it. So with the help of his wife, filmmaker Jennifer Moss, music writer Andrea Lyle, and a private detective, he tracked down the key players in Sullivan's life and uncovered a few details previously unknown in the process. I was trying to condense it a little more, but it didn't work. In 2010, in an attempt to retrace Sullivan's footsteps, he found a gas station worker who had told police that Jim had visited the station asking for directions back to California. Obviously not making sense since California is where Sullivan was traveling from, not to. Another mystery that cannot be explained is why he had driven to such a remote area of the desert in the winter instead, and then refused to offer a ride back to town. So I want to know how bad the winter is. I know that deserts can get really hot and then get really cold.
Yeah, they get really cold. Yeah.
But it didn't seem like that crazy of a thing for him to do, right? Because I imagine this taking place during the day, because we didn't specify whether or not the person who saw him at the ranch saw him during the day or at night.
I don't think it really ever said.
That would kind of make a difference, right?
But, well, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it gets pretty darn cold out in the desert.
It does, yeah.
And, you think, oh, well, you could just get in your car, and get warm. But Volkswagen Bugs, aren't they air cooled? You have to be moving for the air. I'm pretty sure. We'll have to get Daryl chime in on this, but I'm pretty sure that they're air cooled. So it's they have to be moving.
I think I heard him pull up his pants and sigh, getting ready for the response from here. Another thing that was added was that the Sullivan in 2010, who interviewed Sullivan from 70s family, said that the Jim Sullivan's family said that he was in no way really seen suicidal.
No, he wasn't that kind of person.
It doesn't really sound like that, even though he did have hardships and he did fall just short of being famous, yet being surrounded by famous friends. Suicide definitely didn't seem like something that Jim Sullivan would consider, much less carry through with. The reissue of Sullivan's UFO in 2010 outperformed all of his previous record sales combined, and one of its most successful promotions was on the late-night paranormal radio show Coast to Coast AM. That was in 2010. Is Art Bell still doing it in 2010? Or was it George Norrie?
No, I can't remember when he took over. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because Art Bell passed away.
This is 2010. Art Bell didn't pass away. He was 2018, 2017.
Yeah, I was thinking.
When did George Norrie take over? I don't remember.
No.
I think he might have by then.
Yeah, he might have.
George Norrie.
He might have.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love George Dory,
I
but
do
sometimes.
too. I do
now,
too.
Now, do you think that the reptilians have a preference in green hats or red hats? Could you tell that to me?
Red, definitely red.
I love George
We love George Norrie.
The reissue. Oh, I already said that one. Did he commit suicide or have his life taken by some nefarious murderer? Is it possible he constructed his own disappearance to assume a new identity somewhere else? Or maybe the answer is right in front of our faces and Jim Sullivan simply returned home.
Like Elvis. He
By
just
means
went home.
Of glowing lights in the sky. So, what are the probabilities that, of across all of those, because that's your outro, that's your wrap up there, your conclusion. What are the possibilities that he committed suicide, was murdered, constructed his own disappearance to assume a new identity, or that he went away with extraterrestrials?
What do you guys think?
I would prefer that he
What do you
assumed
think?
a new identity.
But why? Why would he do that?
I don't know. I just like it the best. It doesn't mean I think he did it. I just think I like that one. Ooh, I spit over my microphone cover.
It just has an air about it that sounds like it would be.
it.
I just like it.
I just like it.
I know that sounds crazy just to think, oh, okay, well, he just went with aliens, But I'm really wondering what the alternatives could be.
He changed his name to Jose and he moved to Nogales.
He did not change his name to Jose and moved to Nogales. For one, have you been to Nogales?
Very, 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 very close to Nogales.
Yeah.
Very close to Nogales.
Nothing against the good people of Nogales.
Yes, evidently. It seemed super accusatory of something.
No, I'm just saying if...
Oh, man. Anyway, so that's where technically the story ends. So it's a good story while leaving, like, I guess that's what kind of makes a good story is it's very open-ended. You have this guy.
We don't know.
You have this guy who unfortunately has become much more famous after his disappearance and assumed passing than he ever did in life when he just had his 2 record releases. So what does everybody else think? We want everybody to post in there. If you were listening to this on Tuesday and after on the audio podcast, get on our Facebook page, Supernatural Tendencies, our group in there. Post what you think. And I have Tara was asking some questions here that was on my watch party. She asked, how do they know it wasn't him? Did they check his DNA with his son? They weren't doing dental records then, were they? I'm not sure. I don't know. We brought that up. I'm not sure if you asked this when we brought it up, but I don't know. But it does seem like of all the times in history where you were to dig up a 6'2" person and you're missing a 6'2" person, you dug up a person with a mustache and a beard and you're missing a person with a mustache and a beard, that this would be kind of a no-brainer. But evidently they had some type of verification process to say that it wasn't.
Rule him out.
Yeah, well, it definitely wasn't him.
I do know, like when they asked his son and his wife, what do you guys think happened? His wife, it was kind of a double. They were kind of like, well, we don't know if maybe he just, met someone that, was shady and found out or stumbled upon something shady. Although I don't know how you would do that. Really.
Yeah, I mean...
because you're in this little small town. It's not a very big town.
Right then.
Everybody knows everybody. So where else is he really going to go? You're not going to run into you're not going to stumble upon something nefarious happening.
But you could have in LA when you had a bunch of famous friends.
That could be. Did he know something and that's why he decided to go to Nashville and why he didn't take his family?
Ooh.
Like if something's going to happen, I don't want my family to be with me.
That's a juicy one.
I don't know. I'm just,
That's a good one. No, that's a good one.
I'm not meaning to, try to discredit his family or anything, but it's just one of the things. And did you go into the one when the younger Sullivan, who... the no relation, said he had pretty much went back and retraced the steps of Jim Sullivan.
Yeah.
Would you stop that? Trying to figure out, okay, what happened. And now, see, you did that. Now I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm not even going to get to say it because I just totally forgot what it was that I was going to say.
Gone?
Huh?
Is it officially gone?
Gone. I don't even know now.
Tara says, never mind, first dental record forensics were done in she said 1878?
What? So, really?
Or she meant 1970? I don't know. But she says, yeah, but even if you were taking a new identity, wouldn't you still want your loved guitar? But if that was the one defining factor of someone deciding whether or not you were dead or alive, and you're trying to assume a different identity and you don't want them to know what
I know
happened
what
to
it
you,
was now.
of course you would leave that behind, because
Well,
that's the one thing that
would identify you.
one thing behind, and they're like, well, obviously if I leave that behind, everyone's
Then
going to be
they're
like,
not
oh, something bad happened to him, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, he must be dead.
But I know what I was going to say now. When the No Relation Sullivan went back and kind of retraced the steps of Jim's journey.
Yeah.
Now I just forgot it again. What the hell? He found a gas station
Yeah, I said that.
attendant. Okay, you did say that.
Yeah.
Who was kind of like, I always wondered why they didn't, investigate that more.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the police in that area saying, "Oh, we left no stone unturned."
Yeah.
So, conflicting stories there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of weird.
She's alluding to when the gas station worker had said that he remembered Jim Sullivan coming there and then
Yeah.
asking for directions to California.
Yeah.
And it didn't make that wouldn't have made
because
sense.
you just came from California.
Yeah.
You don't know how to get back?
I think you were typing when I was
I'd
talking
have
about
probably
that.
said something like that.
Yeah. Well, but the gas station worker wouldn't have known that at the time, right?
Oh, true, yeah.
So
True, yeah.
he might have known that there's a direction for inquiry. He was asking for directions to California, so why don't you go to California? He wouldn't have known that he's coming
And
from.
his wife, like I said, when the No Relation Sullivan
Mm-hmm.
interviewed the family, his wife said, that she likes to think that he's in the stars somewhere waiting for her. So that, that kind of statement
Mm-hmm.
makes me think that they had conversations about some kind of extraterrestrial connection.
If that were the
for her to make that statement.
But if that were the case, then why wouldn't he have believed her when she asked what was
Or
going on?
why wouldn't she have believed him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I messed that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if that was the case,
I don't know. Maybe it was just like something, you ponder during those late night conversations. But when actually something happens, maybe he was afraid that she wouldn't believe him. I don't know. I don't know.
If I called you in the middle of the night and said, you're not going to believe this at all, but I was picked up by extraterrestrials and I'm sat down, can you come pick me
Wait,
up?
are you going to call me and tell me that?
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, I knew this day was going to... Hold up. I'm coming now. Let me
Daryl!
get... Daryl! So, me personally or just your general populace here? Two different things.
What if you pick me up and I'm just drunk
If
and
you
nobody
think
else
you've
will
been
pick me up?
abducted, I'm the person you want to call to come get you. I will come get you.
I was too drunk, and from the bar, I knew you wouldn't come get me because I was drunk. You'd tell me to walk home.
I've gotten those phone calls too.
But I would have walked out in the middle of a field and lost my shirt and then called
Probably.
you, and you still would have picked me up. I would just give you the story on the way home.
Probably, yeah. Probably, yeah.
Anyway, that's about it for our story today.
I love this story.
It's a very short, I would say simple, but it's not really simple. The facts given to us is pretty simple, but the outcomes and finding out what happened, obviously it's still a mystery as to what happened. So,
wouldn't it be awesome if like an 80-year-old Jim Sullivan suddenly reappeared on the scene and said, I just came back. Where were you, Jim?
oh yeah.
I'd be like, yes!
Was it from Young Guns? Was it the first Young Guns or the second Young Guns? With the dude who claimed to be Billy the Kid? Because I think that was a true story.
It's been so long since I saw this. I don't remember.
There's a true story of someone who came out, and I can't remember when it was, but it would have made Billy the Kid 109 years old or something.
Yeah.
And they had done some type of testing for the day, but I think they were really wondering if it was. It was pretty convincing, the stuff that he was saying.
Well, I've heard the same thing about Jesse James.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
One.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing too.
I've always heard the Jesse
I don't
James
know,
treasure.
but are those legends that, just to keep the mystique alive?
Well, these have been more modern legends. Jesse James's treasure would have been more of a legend, but people coming back and claiming to be these people would definitely be
I think it's a
crazy,
cool story, though.
Yeah.
And I, for one, would love it if Jim Sullivan reappeared.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. If you guys have any thoughts or any inquiries or any additional information for this, feel free to email us at supernaturaltendentiespodcast@gmail.com, or again, hop on our Facebook page. We do have an Instagram. Do you remember our Instagram handle? Because I don't cover that.
I don't either. I've been really laxing on that.
Okay, so I think Twitter is @weirdandScary.
Yeah, @weirdandScary.
Okay, so our Instagram is different from our Twitter handle?
I know. I think our Instagram is the same, Supernatural Tendencies Podcast.
Okay.
I do believe.
Hit us up on Instagram. We got that over there too. We like to push some other podcasts on there, some other paranormal groups we're all friends with. We like to retweet their stuff too. So get on over there for some fun shenanigans.
Yeah, and if you want to join us right now we're doing them on Sundays. But if you want to join us in the live discussion that we're doing right here, right now, Jump on over on Facebook, give our page a like and a follow, Supernatural Tendencies Podcast, and be sure to click all for notifications. That way you get a notification whenever we go live. And you can join in the conversation.
Are we streaming YouTube today?
No.
I thought we were going to be streaming YouTube.
No.
Oh.
No.
So what's Daryl watching?
Our Facebook for our spammers.
We didn't have anybody on Facebook spamming. It was on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're confusing.
Well, no, because there's no way to control that on YouTube.
Yeah, but I thought we were going to try it at least one more time. We had some issues last week with some type of bot. I would like to think it wasn't a person because you need a life. But if it was a bot, then
right?
it shut the feed down. So if you weren't with us last week, we were just having issue after issue about people commenting. I don't know if they were reporting the video. What was it on? The Mokele Mbembe? So I don't know why that was happening.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten in a online tiffs that would make people retaliate against us or anything, but it actually dropped the feed and wouldn't even let us look at the video again. It said the author had taken it down.
Yeah.
We didn't take anything down.
I didn't do anything.
Yep, we didn't take anything down. So we don't know what happened.
I don't know if so many people were reporting the spam that it just shut the whole feed down. I don't even know.
It was the same exact content we were doing this week. Yeah. In fact, this one was way more conspiratorial than Mokele Mbembe was. So I know
Mokele Mbembe is such a great story.
Yeah, but it wasn't anything that somebody would get angry about. Oh, we were talking about creationists. People get angry when we're talking about creationists?
I don't believe that was it.
I don't know, but it was weird. So,
but if you want to join us live for the discussion, hop on over to Facebook.
Get on our Facebook. You'll get that notification pop up. You can join in. We prefer your questions. We prefer your comments. Misty, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you again.
Hi, sister.
Jennifer, we haven't said hello to you. Are you in the same room with everybody, with Trista and all them too? I think that's how you guys usually hang out,
honey,
right?
I'm going to go in after this, and I don't know what the deal was. Because she's saying it's saying she's blocked. So I don't even know what that is. But after the show here, I'll go in and see if I can figure that out.
Yeah, it was weird. So
I agree, Kimbo.
And I've been thinking about this the whole week. There was a person before the stream dropped on the YouTube, commented on our YouTube video. I think it was like Soccer Dennis or Dennis Soccer. It flashed and I didn't see it again. And then we had the issue, so I couldn't even go back and look. That asked about shout outs. I've been leaving them to you because I've been feeling like if I keep doing stuff for you that you won't see it before I do it. And then if it's not highlighted, you'll overlook it.
Possibly.
But they were asking about shout outs. So do you know of anybody that we're missing on shout outs the past 2-3 weeks? I don't think anybody has really, and this is not accusatory to anybody, but I don't think anybody's really been inviting everybody like they did the first time we really put those out.
Yeah, normally I'll put something in our group on Facebook and be like, hey, invite 20 people, you'll get a shout out on the podcast, but I haven't been posting that.
And I don't remember who, so someone seems like they were expecting a shout out, and I don't know who Soccer Dennis is. Or Dennis Soccer. If that's, maybe I'm mixing it up. Maybe that's not at all what the name was. But that's what it looked like before it got shut down. So
could be Football Pete, So
I'm Soccer Dennis, if you're on here or you if you have a way to comment any way, fashion, or possibility, let us know. We don't want to leave you out if we've overlooked something. But I like I said, that's all the information that I have on that. So what else am I missing? There's something that I'm missing. I'm missing something, and I don't remember what it is.
I don't know.
Something about...
I don't know.
Here we go. The reviews. The reviews. The likes and reviews. Hey, if any of you get the time, I'm not sure what podcast you actually, or the platform you actually listen to this podcast on, we're getting a lot more Spotify's and iHeartRadios, okay? I don't think you can leave a rating or review on Spotify, but you can on iHeartRadio. So if you've stuck around with us on iHeartRadio, give us a rating and give us a review. Say a little bit about us. I don't care if you don't like us. If you listen to one and this is the only one you're listening to, those guys are complete garbage. I don't care. Put it on there. I'm not going to take it down. I want everybody to put their opinions in, why you like us and why you don't like us. It's all constructive, hopefully, even if it's an absolute long letter of hate mail. I'll take it into consideration. So I know
he gets those all the time from me anyway, it's not going to make any difference.
Those are text messages, so it's a little more personal. Again, if you know of anybody on iTunes that haven't done it yet, our iTunes audience is shrinking in proportion compared to everybody else. I think we only had like 30% of the Apple Podcast listeners, which used to be the broad margin of our listenership. But now, since we're on these other platforms, we're getting a lot more from, like I said, Spotify. Castbox is still relatively small.
Yeah.
iHeartRadio. So yeah, if you guys get the chance, give us a review on there. If you can't give us a review on any of those platforms that you listen to audio podcast on, if you're with us in the lives, give us a review on our Facebook page. I think there is a process that you can give like star reviews or anything like that. But regardless of that, you can leave a written review. So leave us a written review on Facebook. We'll read those out loud too. I haven't looked at them, and that's the caveat here. Some of these podcast platforms I don't actually have on my phone. I'm actually looking at them through Anchor. So some of them I can't see. So if you have one and I haven't read it for some reason, screenshot it and post it to our page, or email to us. Again, Supernatural Tendencies Podcast at gmail.com, and I will read it. So let me know, because sometimes I can't see them all, or I see them like way late. So Jennifer says, Christy Johnson-Sadler is funny. Alex needs to be more nicer to Christy. If you spend as much time around her as I do,
not true.
You would agree with me more. Trust me.
Loving and caring. I ooze love and happiness.
She oozes.
Wow.
She just oozes.
Wow.
Anyway, I say that's probably it for this week. What do you think?
I think that's it. That's a wrap. Take care, guys. We will see you on Tuesday for the release of this week's podcast. So be sure to check that out.
For our audio listeners, please stick around for Musician Spotlight. We do have Witchpit. Oh, Witchpit. Stick around for it.
All right, guys. See you Tuesday.
See you later. We'd like to say thank you one more time for hopping on board with us this week. If you have any comments, questions, critiques, or suggestions for new topics, please send us an email at supernaturaltendentiespodcast@gmail.com. We also encourage you to get over to our Facebook page at Supernatural Tendencies Podcast and go ahead and elbow drop that like button for us. We're also available on Instagram at Supernatural Tendencies Podcast and Twitter at Weird and Scary, if that's more to your liking. Please pass us around to your friends as well, where they can find us on Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and most other podcast platforms.
And remember, if you're having any type of paranormal activity or extraterrestrial contact, I offer private coaching online via Skype or Facebook Messenger to assist you with those issues. Feel free to visit me at ChristyJohnsonSadler.com for contact information.
Till next time, this has been Alex
and Christy.
See you later. Man, it's great to have a show that's relatively hassle-free, unlike last week.
I concur.
I like your awkward pause. Man, I'm excited about getting into this musician spotlight this week, though, because I haven't been excited, and this is no offense to any of the other musicians we had. This is just kind of like my thing. I haven't been excited for a band this much since Ope, man. Ugh, whoosh. And Ope, I know Ope. These guys I know from Facebook, and I've gotten on with them and listened to their stuff, downloaded a bunch of their stuff. Witchpit from South Carolina. I'm going to take a guess at Greenville or the Greenville area. They just kind of generically say they're from South Carolina. But I see they have shows in Greenville, and even more so on point would be their latest appearance on 93.3, the Planet on Rock. What is this? The Planet Rocks radio? A radio station down in Greenville, South Carolina. Obviously, I'm not from there because I have no idea what that is. But they were featured on the Rise Guys morning show. So that was pretty cool of them to have some recognition, some promotional stuff.
Yeah.
Because they deserve it. And it was pretty funny, too. Because in describing them myself is kind of like, I don't know, Doomier Clutch. If you've ever heard of Clutch before. Mm-hmm. You've heard of Clutch, right?
Yeah.
You vaguely like Clutch.
Yeah.
Right? Their music itself is kind of clutchy. But they have more like a guttural vocal, more screaming vocals. So if you don't know that stuff, I don't know what else. If you're not really into doom or sludge or stoner stuff, I'm not sure who you may know. But like Weed Eater is definitely more guttural than Witchpit. But it's absolutely fantastic stuff, and I'm actually, don't to toot my own horn here, I got the top fan badge for their Facebook. Yes, featured as top fan badge. And I asked them if they could be on, if we could feature their stuff on. They're like, cool, yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. So what we're going to do today, actually, what I was getting back to is at 93.9, or 93.3, I think it was. I did a little interview, I think, with their guitar player, and they're kind of asking them their influences and stuff. And he was, the guitar player was talking about, I can't remember the first band he said. I knew him, but I can't remember right now. But then he brings up I Hate God, and the guy was like, whoa. But have you ever heard of that band, I Hate God? Again, you probably wouldn't have if you don't really care for doom or sludge or stuff like that. But it's a great southern sludge band, doom band. It was a pretty funny part of that interview that they had done. So they let us use Shaky Legs today, which is, I don't think they actually have a full-on album recorded yet. If they do, they haven't released it. I think they have 3 singles. Rain God, there's a third one, it's escaping me right now, and then Shaky Legs. And Shaky Legs is a great song all around. It's like a driving blues doom sludge altogether is what I would say. So if you're into this, it's pretty catchy, the musical part in it. It's a great set of lyrics. I think the guitar player actually explains that interview kind of what the lyrics mean and the idea behind Shaky Legs. Again, and we keep on having to say this until the world kind of changes. Not many shows booked for them. I wish they were. I would love to try my whole hardest to get my band Dirt Worship down to South Carolina, maybe get on some shows with them, because it would be a fantastic thing that I would just love. Anyway, they do have some quarantine sessions on their Facebook where they got together and just kind of did some jams during the quarantine. So get on there if you like that kind of thing too. Regardless, hop on over their Facebook cage. Yes, Facebook cage. Witchpit Facebook cage, and give them a like. Get on their YouTube, give them a like, give their videos a like, comment, whatever, what have you. They're on Spotify. I got them on iTunes Music. I got them on there. Check them out anywhere you can. If you can support them, support them. I'm going to try to put in a t-shirt order here soon if I can, if they have any of those available. If you're down to smoke, they also have Witchpit bowls, which were pretty sweet. They had coming out. So if you're into that kind of thing, we'll pick up a Witchpit bowl if they have them available. Do you have anything to add? Because you've been pretty silent.
No, I'm good. You always handle the music part of it. I'm just along for the ride.
Do you have any input on it? Because you heard Shaky Legs. Do you have any input on it? Could you describe it to somebody who's not really into the genre?
It's not really my forte of music.
No, but could you describe it to somebody who doesn't?
Loud. And angry.
Yes, that's exactly what we want. Yes, loud and angry. Without further ado, our loud and angry band of the week, Witchpit with Shaky Legs. Enjoy it as much as I do. Here it comes.